I don't typically cover American current affairs, and I'm not going to start now. There'll be more than enough coverage about Floyd and Chauvin elsewhere, but I am interested in the BBC coverage of the events. There's a link in the description to the story, and the piece is by someone called Tara McKelvey, who is apparently the BBC's White House reporter. It starts off by saying how happy the protesters were with the verdict and goes on to talk about some of the appeal avenues. Setting aside the enormous publicity, even the judge said remarks by Democrat Congresswoman Maxine Waters would be grounds for appeal. She told protesters to stay on the street and get more confrontational if Chauvin were acquitted. Yeah, that's right, an elected official saying that. But let's get to the BBC version of the truth in the section entitled What Happened to George Floyd? It says, the 46-year-old bought a pack of cigarettes at a convenience store in South Minneapolis on the evening of the 25th of May. A shop assistant believed he had used a counterfeit $20 bill and called the police after Mr. Floyd refused to give the cigarettes back, which would of course have ended the affair. Well, that's seriously understated. George did in fact use a counterfeit bill. The shop assistant knew this because the bill was wet and the ink was smudged. There's no uncertainty here. The bill was fake. The shop assistant knew it, and he had to call the cops because George wouldn't give the cigarettes back. They go on to say, when the police arrived, they ordered Mr. Floyd out of his car and handcuffed him. A struggle ensued when officers tried to put a screaming Mr. Floyd in their squad car. Just remember, if you're arrested and cuffed, you don't get a choice about getting in a police car. If you think the arrest is wrong, you simply sue after the event. It is dumb to resist or escalate, especially if you're already handcuffed. I'm no fan of police overreach, but don't escalate force ever. You'll lose or be prosecuted, or possibly both. They continue. They wrestled him to the ground and pinned him under their weight, which again is quite misleading. It implies that more than one officer's whole weight was on George, which is not true. It goes on to say, Chauvin pressed his knee into the back of Mr. Floyd's neck for over 9 minutes. Now this is where it gets quite naughty, because it was established in the trial this was not the case. It was shown that Chauvin's knee was actually on George's upper back for long periods, not his neck. Bad reporting or lying? Make your own mind up. And let's not forget what they omitted. George had taken fentanyl 3 times the lethal dose, in fact, as well as methamphetamine. With a long history of drug abuse, he was a dead man walking. And what is one of the major side effects of fentanyl? Shortness of breath and asphyxiation. There was a post-mortem which confirmed this. This is not a matter of dispute. You might think this would have been relevant if the reporter had wanted to produce a balanced piece, but that didn't suit the narrative, and it was the BBC. After all that's happened in the last year, all the BS we've been fed, all the hysteria we've been given, the best thing, the very best thing you can do is dump your TV. Being cut off from the constant propaganda will give you a mental clarity you've not experienced before. Why do you think in 1984 Orwell had telescreens in every house? Turn off your telescreen, dump it, and defund these clowns who hold you in complete contempt. If you like this, please like, recommend, and subscribe.